Welcome to the Launch Button Podcast, where we unlock the secrets of successful entrepreneurs and real estate investors who found the courage to hit the launch button and take control of their destiny. Join me, Hugh Zaretsky, best-selling author, seasoned real estate investor, and serial entrepreneur, as we dive deep into inspiring stories and invaluable lessons that will empower you to break free from the ordinary and pursue your true passions. Are you feeling trapped in a job that drains your passion and leaves you yearning for more? Are you ready to accelerate your business and or real estate investing to take it to the next level? It's time to ignite your dreams and embrace the limitless possibilities that life has to offer. Get ready to launch into the life you've always desired by pressing the launch button. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Launch Button Podcast, where we introduce you to successful entrepreneurs that are building their dream life, following their passion, using real estate investing and entrepreneurship to build the life of their dreams. And today we've got not one, but two amazing guests here that are going to talk to us about how they've built their life by design. And in fact, they've started their own business doing that, called Life Design Duo, because they're a pair and you can't separate the two of them. They come together as one, and they're going to help you grow and expand your business and talk about how this journey of life is a stair step to success. It's not a straight line. There's lots of ups, there's lots of downs, and our traumas make us and break us, or we survive. So today I want to introduce you to Kevin Kip Brown and Lora Brown, depending on how you know them. And they have a very unique story because they met right in college. And as they were going through college, they met, and both are from the opposite coast. They're from the West Coast, way out there. Grew up with lots of land and lots of animals, and they love the outdoors. So Kip and Laura, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you guys met.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Hugh. Really appreciate you letting us on the podcast here and chatting with you guys. It's fantastic. Yeah. And you do find us together a lot. We're the life design duo, so to speak, because we know we're better together. And honestly, it's because of the brains of the bunch here. You know, there's no secret with that one.
We just like hanging out together in general most of the time. And, we accomplish more things together than we do by ourselves. So, ultimately, why not design the life that the two of us can be together doing things instead of having to go out and constantly manage ourselves at different peak performances, if you will.
Yeah, and that's a learned behavior. You know, we started out, we were actually together right at the beginning. We met in college. She was my dance teacher. So, I had to get a good grade in the class. So
That's what he always says.
I was the overachiever in that. But really, it was because we just really enjoyed hanging out together. And we designed a life back then that was fun and exciting. We were out dancing probably just about every single night, I would say.
Yeah, we were dancing 21 hours a week typically, and not that was all the work, right? Not all of that was in class. Yeah. That was being able to go out after classes, bringing people with us that wanted to learn and grow and do those types of things through dance. And so, and socialize. It was a great networking opportunity back in college as well.
So here's the big question. Did Kip get an A in the dance class?
He did, and became like the star pupil teacher as well. When I had to go out and do my outdoor recreation stuff for my major, he took over teaching the classes and went through the whole ballroom side of it. I came back, and then, I had taken ballroom, but he had been, teaching ballroom. And so
I got to surpass the teacher there for a little while. It was fun.
we had our moments where each of us decided to design and do that, each one.
Awesome. And then from college, tell us a little bit about, you guys did the corporate world, the traditional family life for many, many years.
Yeah. So, we had designed that life that we really enjoyed in college, being together and hanging out and all that. And then sort of default programming took over. I was taught from a very young age, this might resonate with a few people, where you go to school, you get the good grades, then you go get that dream job and start saving for retirement and work your tail off to climb the corporate ladder. Well, that was this guy. That's what I did almost. You couldn't scripted it more than that, for it. So I got the corporate job in consulting, went to some of the really big names like Accenture that you've seen out there, a couple other companies that you probably haven't heard of, like Synchronous, even though they're as big as anybody else out there. You just don't know it because they're behind the scenes. I spent a lot of time climbing that corporate ladder, going to really big names in the industry like the AT&Ts, Apples, T-Mobiles of the world, and spent a lot of time building their systems out and saving for retirement. But what we found during this whole time is it pulled me away. It took us away from that life we had designed together, and we started having a completely separate life where I was gone all the time and Lora was home raising the family and taking care of everything that mattered at home.
Well, what we did do that was the first rebellion out of that is that we got married basically as
we did
in college, but out of college. Like there were certain standards and priorities that both of us wanted to do. And actually getting married officially after we both finished was important. But, that was the first thing. But because of that, we really fell into that line of, okay, you did this. Now you really have to go on this trajectory. And, Kip's whole scenario, there's always negotiations at all parts of your life. And the negotiation of when will we have a family, whether we will have a family, all of those types of things started off before we got married, because that's an important thing to do. And at that point,
I have a feeling, Lori, that was on your side deciding that was an important thing
that
to do.
was on my side. I
can confirm.
100% will own that one, because that was important to me. I grew up I'm the youngest of 5. Family and being part of a big rowdy family was just seriously like, I didn't even imagine anything different than that. And he had completely different ideas with all of that type of scenario.
Yes,
so but in that, he had criteria and standards that he had set that if we're going to have a family, these things need to happen. And so basically I turned to him and it was like, okay, I have a family, and when I am having that family is my standard. And if you have standards that we need to meet before we can start that, you better get busy.
In other words, she said, I'm having kids before I'm 30, whether they're yours or not gets to be your decision.
And he said, we have to have a house and, a stable job and, security and the ability to do all that. And I said, well, if that's the case, then you better get busy.
I got to get to work. I got to get to work.
All the way through up until we actually had a family. And it was important for me at that point in time to not have somebody else raise my children for me. And when I looked at it from what I was doing, I was in customer service. I ran different sales groups for photographers and executive assistants and those types of things. And what I found is when I started looking at it, having children and putting them in daycare so that I could work the 40 hours a week
wasn't going to work.
I literally was going to pay $1 every single month that would work.
That would be our net income from her side would have been -1.
And I was like, there is more that I can do for the family by raising our children. And also then really taking on the aspect of management and making sure that every single dime that he made went somewhere as far as possible to really truly give us the life that we thought that we wanted at that point in time, that we were designing it for. And so that's where the focus really kind of went for the next 15 years once we started having a family. And yes, it was before 30.
I made the right goal. Made the right choice.
So, it was just one of those scenarios, but we learned a lot along the way. And, and that's what has led us to where we are now.
We want to dive a little bit more into what you feel as you get into the infinity model with the TFP model here. What are some of the key elements? And as you try and bring people and pass this message on to them, what are you focusing on with them to get people to move into the direction and see the process?
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, We searched a lot. If you listen to the other podcast, you'll see a version of our story as we go through. We kind of hit some highlights that highlighted how much away and separated we were. And during that time, what we didn't really get into was how many times we had been searching for various things. We tried a couple businesses that didn't work out so well. We tried communities that didn't work out so well, found some that did. We found some communities that worked out great, but it always seemed to be missing a component. And what I really dove into the infinity model, and what I tell people is like, look, you can't do development in one area of your life at the expense of another. And what the infinity model did in the final percent is really taking your life to the final percent and incorporates growth in all four pillars of your life. It's vertically integrated in a way that we hadn't seen before.
And it's that vertical integration that just makes a huge amount of difference, because for us, we saw how you couldn't just focus in one area, that if you did that, other parts of your life fall off and start suffering. And then you have to take all of your energy from that one area that you had been working on and building, and you had to refocus in another area. And a lot of times the communities where we had the biggest struggle, if you will, was they were wholeheartedly focused in one area.
Right.
And the challenge with that is that when I started having health issues, there wasn't support. There wasn't anything about that I could work on my business. I could work on my personal development, and I could still try to do all of I had to do those all separately outside of all of those things. And we had to find separate people that would help us in those different areas. And then they were just all over the place.
You say you get around the people, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And I totally believe that. The problem was we would find a community of people focusing on their professional life. Well, great. That can move up, but they wouldn't focus on their health, or they wouldn't focus on their personal growth, or that kind of stuff. So those areas would start to go down. Oh, no, sorry. Now we need to go find the fitness, health, vitality coach. So we go find that. Well, they're not really into the business. They don't care as much about that or the personal side. And every group that we found, they would focus on one area and at the expense of the other. The final percent network and the infinity model let us combine all of that, because we got around people that truly understood how all of that is interconnected and how one area builds on the other. So you should never try one at the expense of the other.
And where we found the power of it was when we got stuck.
Yeah.
So we were able to retire him from corporate America through our real estate, right? That was our goal. And because it was such a driven goal, and it was so big at the time that we were starting it, that it took 100% of our focus. And then when we accomplished it, we felt a little lost.
Yeah, it started to really drain upon my significance. This is actually another place that you stepped in, Hugh. I will be forever grateful for that exchange that we had in Dallas at the Totality event that we went to, because you put it in so much perspective for me. It's like, oh, wait a minute. There is significance, even more significance, because that's what I wanted. I wanted that life back with my family. And that note you passed me, and just kind of your words of wisdom there and advice, just like, it really hit home for me, because it made me realize how significant my life is with the family. And that was, it brought back all the memories of when I was in Germany there at that party, and not realizing that none of my family that mattered was around me. You instantly put that in perspective for me. And that's what this model does. It keeps all 4 areas of your life, the pillars of your life, focused, working together, and aligned with the same goal.
And that's
I went through that. So full disclosure, I went through that, right, a couple of times when I left corporate and those such things. So we were at an event in Dallas. It was my first actually TFP event. And I was trying to sit quietly in the back and sneak into the room. And then Kip had said, well, I'm just a dad, right? And for those of you guys that haven't run huge teams of people, had like 700 people report to you, and like everybody needs you, right? They're trying to book your time, you're double, triple booked. And for moms, single moms like Lora at the time, quote unquote, that was staying home with 3 kids, she was that for the family too. And then he just was like, now nobody asked me questions because the family wasn't going to him. The family was going to Lora. She was the rock. She was the CEO, right? So once you have those C titles or those executive titles, and then you don't. And so I just wrote a little something on a note. Somebody was trying to do an intervention with him. I wrote something on a note that now you're the CEO of your family, right? And you've got to run it that way. And I've actually used your story now, Kip, right, to help Amanda, to help Joe. You heard us talk about that at the retreat.
Yeah.
Like, because she had the same thing. She was a detective in the police force, and now she's just a mom. Yeah. Right? Like, she was said the same exact words that you did. I'm just a dad. And I was like, oh, I know what to say.
It's perfect. Yeah.
One of my new trainings.
Yeah.
And that's the power of the totality events, right? Getting around people and having those breakthroughs, even little tiny ones, can be experienced by just having a short conversation with somebody, or even a passing by comment can give people the opportunity to really truly see things for themselves that they weren't able to see before.
Well, and it's that vulnerability of expressing how you're feeling and what's frustrating and what's blocking, and like, if I hadn't said that what I was feeling there, and really you wouldn't have had the opportunity or even known that I needed that help. And it getting around, it's your participation and your willingness to do that is what makes an event like this so powerful and so great, because there are so many great people. Like I said, the advice you gave was fantastic. The advice that Greg gives when he's up there talking, just the life wisdom around that entire collective table, that group of people is just incredible when you really sit back and think about it. And if you can tap into that, you really have something special.
And that's what it is, right? You talk about surrounding yourself with the people, and surrounding people that are focused on all those 4 areas, right? Not only your vitality, your health, your business, but also building a community so that when you leave there, and that's why we do these events in the different locations, so that when you leave the event, you're still surrounded by people that are all thinking that same way, that are supporting that same way, that are doing that. And you guys are building that on the West Coast. We're building that on the East Coast. We got in the middle there, so we'll have the whole country surrounded soon. Maybe Canada. We'll see what happens up there with all of that stuff. But yeah, so now that you've been in the space for a while and you're one of the leaders of the community, what would you say to somebody thinking about joining the Final Percent?
Oh, that's a fantastic one. I would say that, one, this is the right group. If you've been searching around, if you've tried different networking groups or BNI groups or educational platform groups, there's so many different ways that people can join a community and participate and create this. If you're still searching for that, I would encourage you to, one, check this out, because again, that vertical integration of all 4 parts is unique. The level of caring here is unique. I mean, we just got back from a men's retreat there in Colorado. And I've never experienced a group of guys being able to get together, talk that openly, vulnerable, like, and there were some big, strong guys. There are a few of us maybe that need to work out their arms a little bit more, or legs. Yeah, exactly. All those things. But as a group, what I think it came from me, at least, I mean, I knew this already, but it really hit home, was together as a group, we accomplish it. There was going to be no leaving anybody behind, whether it was push-ups, the gauntlet and lifting that we did, the climb, the Manitou incline, or all of the personal development and growth. It was going together and collecting as a group. So when I'm talking to people and saying, hey, you need to experience this to understand how much gain you can get, the growth that's there from a personal standpoint, a professional, a vitality, you need to get around this community to experience, so that you have the capability of becoming the best self you can be. And we can push you beyond those limits. And that's what this group can do, is it can show you that what you think are a limit is really not your limit.
And for me, on top of all of that, because all of that is 100% true, is that this is the first and only organization, group, community, if you will, that really embodies the entire family. And,
yeah.
you know, for us, right, we were separated a lot of times in our own circumstances, but we were absolutely also separated from the family aspect. So there was never a time that we could bring our children with us when we wanted to experience that growth in those areas. You know, when we had our professional groups that we were part of, it was like, oh, well, kids can't come. They're just disruptive. They're going to cause a problem. Our kids had situations that we took them everywhere with us. When we traveled, like our kids have traveled internationally with us from the time they were 3 months old. They had to come with us because, quite frankly, there wasn't a babysitter alive that we ran into that actually could handle the issues that our children were facing and be able to handle them very well. And that includes our family.
Yes, it does.
You know, type of scenario. We couldn't just always drop them with mom, dad, grandma, and grandpa, aunts, uncles, those types of things. And so they came with us. And because they weren't able, we couldn't come together as a family and grow together as a family. He would go and do his things and he would come home, and I'd been taking care of kids throwing up and being sick for days. And I'm like, I really cannot appreciate what you're trying to tell me. And that's all great and dandy, but you're not supposed to coach your spouse. Well, he would come home and try to put on the whole coach together. And I would just be like, you know what, go do your thing. Like, stay out of our life right now, because it's not going to, it's not landing and it's not helping.
So I have to agree that having the kids, the whole family involved, that's something that is so special and unique in TFP that it resonated with us, because there was a bit of pain and regret coming there that we hadn't found something like this sooner when our kids were young, because we look at the families that have the young kids that are participating in this group and see the growth in the kids that are coming up. And
so
good.
And I've worked with youth almost my entire life. I was part of youth organizations with my family. We really had a community that was family oriented, like literally from the time I could speak and walk. I was doing things and speaking right along with my older brothers and sisters. And because of that, I love working with young people. I love the joy that they experience with being able to do that, and the things that these kids that are part of our community, that are part of the families that are growing and doing, just lights me up, because they're experiencing opportunities so similar to what I was experiencing, and it's just hard to find out there.
It's not really out there, right? You know, like that's one of the hugest things. We got little like array at like, I don't know, 6 or 7 speaking on stages, right? Now she's like, aren't I speaking at every event? You know, like she's just expected. She's like, what? I just saw her at before the men's retreat, and she was like, so when am I speaking on stage again? I think I should do it by myself. And I was like, okay, so you're dumping me. I see how this is. I said, well, you got to go talk to the head man in charge, because I ain't making that decision. I'm not telling you no. I'll pass that buck to Greg. Like, you go talk to Mr. Greg.
But how many 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds do you know that would even stand outside of behind mom and dad's legs to say hello to an adult?
Yeah.
It is fairly rare. And to give them the confidence that they can stand and share their experiences at their level with not only their own peer groups, but also with adults, is you can't find it anywhere else very often. So, I mean, it is out there possibly, but it's not readily available. And TFP really does give that total integration with the family and with the vertical integration of the 4 pillars. So it is
amazing to just see how people resonate with it, right? And how much like it hits home for different people in different areas of their lives, wherever they thought they were good, and then realize, oh no, I wasn't good there. Like, oh, I got to up that game, right? And it's not even a competition, and there's really nothing to sell. So it's not like, you know, you're being like other organizations. It's like, well, buy the next level and buy the next level and buy the next level. There really isn't any of that. It's just, hey, being a part of it and then pushing each other to reach those goals and holding everybody accountable to what they say.
Well, like I said, it's through that consistent daily action. It's getting reinforced in each of the 4 pillars of your life. And that's one of the things that sets this group apart. Yes, you can have accountability in other groups where they assign tasks and various things like that, but it's not working towards the common goal. Everybody in this group is we're not working this hard to stay the same, and we hold each other accountable to that and really understand what that means, fully integrated every part of your life.
And it's just going to take off. So for those of you guys getting involved now, you're at the ground floor, right? The rocket ship is just taking off. I know I saw it. You guys saw it when you first joined. You're like, all right, there's something special here. We just got to get it out to the masses, right? We got to like help guide it and shape it and get it out there. And so both coming from corporate world, from different stages and personal development, I know we both saw that. I look forward to building and working with both of you guys and hanging out more, as we're now going to be like seeing each other every 2 months around the country, cruises, whatever.
Or every month, Hugh, Ed. I'll never get tired of hanging out with you. You're one of my favorite humans on the entire planet. So it's been a lot of fun, and you've helped me out a lot, more than you'll ever know, actually, maybe even.
Well, you saved my life on this last trip, so and you're helping keep me out of trouble sometimes, so which is hard to do. It's hard to get out of trouble in communities and just saying it's on my mind. And I always appreciate Laura's feedback, because I can always just tell based on her face. She's like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna shut up now. Like, yeah, I get that look. Like, I don't even have to be married to her, and I know the look. I'm like, yep, stop. Yep, going in a bad direction. So I've always appreciated that. And as you guys can see, we have a little bit of fun while we do this, and that's part of it, right? You got to have fun. You got to enjoy it, and we're going to continue to grow. And we look forward to seeing you at the event. We look forward to seeing you on more podcasts and working together. And stay plugged in, because you're going to see some amazing things over the next couple of months and even the next year. So everybody have a great day. We'll see everybody soon.
Thank you for joining us on the Launch Button Podcast, your gateway to unlocking your true potential and pursuing your passions. Don't let the journey end here. For more empowering insights, valuable resources, exclusive content, and free giveaways, visit www.thelaunchbuttonpodcast.com.